Hello everybody, it's Chris the Spyder Minimalist back at it again. It's another beautiful day in Niagara County. We're once again on River Road heading north towards Fort Niagara State Park, and today we're going to talk about the quad lock. I had mentioned in one of my earlier videos, it might have been I think day 2 on the Spyder, about the fact that I had a love-hate relationship with the quad lock. And I think I might have explained a little bit about how I lost a phone and destroyed a phone on the quad lock, but I said I'd go into detail on another video, and so that's what today is all about. You can see I've got the quad lock mounted. You can tell it's a quad lock because of this little blue tab right here, but I don't like the whole BRP Connect system. And I knew that even before I bought this thing. And there's beautiful Stella Niagara. So I knew before I bought the Spyder that I wasn't going to put my phone in this hot box right here, in the glove box, connect it to one of those cables, and use BRP Connect. And there's a couple of different reasons for that, my sentiment on that. First of all, the BRP Connect system is notoriously unintuitive, I guess, is counterintuitive is I guess the best word for it. There are countless reviews on YouTube. You can read about it. It's just not a user-friendly system. The iPhone, not only is it intuitive, not only are the apps intuitive, like this is Google Maps right here, but even if it took a while to learn it, and it doesn't, but even if it did, we use our iPhones, or at least our smartphones, for me it's an iPhone, all day, every day. So it's like second nature. So I don't want to go through the rigmarole of learning BRP Connect when I already know how to use my iPhone. And I love the bright color display compared to, I think, what BRP Connect shows with its funky map software. And I also love the fact that I can just swipe up, and I know I shouldn't be doing this, and I know there are safety issues, but I only do it when I'm in a non-traffic environment like this road here right now. But if I want to you know, look at weather, I just touch the weather app and I look at weather. If I want to go back to maps, I go, where are my maps? There it is. And again, I don't use Apple Maps, this is Google Maps, but I just love the fact that, first of all, I have more instrument display space at my disposal, because I'm not taking up map space on this. So I can see my RPMs, I can see, this is showing the radio station that's set, but I like having the full use of this, not digital, but whatever you call it, dash, as well as my map and my phone. The other thing is, if I'm getting a phone call, I can see it coming in. If I'm getting a text message, I can see it coming in. Now, I'm not going to text and drive, but if I think that if I get an urgent text message, I can easily pull over at the next safe available spot and respond to the text. So for me, the question was not whether or not I was going to use BRP Connect. I knew I wasn't going to use BRP Connect. The question was, how was I going to mount my phone to my handlebars? And I already knew the answer to that as well, and that's because I've had a great relationship with my quad lock, but I've also had some trouble spots with the quad lock, and I'll explain, for years now. So I want to say 4 or 5 years ago, I had an iPhone 10. At that point, I was riding a Kawasaki Versus, and I had a quad lock mounted to it. I loved the quad lock, and it was in the fall, and I was in the Ellicottville region of Western New York. Ellicottville is a cute little ski town. I actually took you to Ellicottville for the second day I was on the Spyder. Unfortunately, my GoPro camera went dead, so you didn't get to see Ellicottville. You're going to see it again soon, and you're going to see it a couple of times, because we're definitely going to go down there for the fall foliage season. But anyway, I was down there. It was a few years ago. I had an iPhone 10 at the time. This is an iPhone 13, and I'm going to explain. I actually had an iPhone 14 before I had a 13. I'm probably the only guy that goes backwards, but I'll explain why, and quad lock is partly the reason why. So anyway, I was down in Ellicottville, and it was fall foliage season, and I was on my Kawasaki Versys, and I pulled over, and I did this a couple of times to take some breathtaking shots. So imagine if I just pulled over right here, right now, on the shoulder, and it's easier with a two-wheel bike. This is a very narrow shoulder. I would never do it on the Spyder unless it was an emergency. But I pulled over, and I was in a kind of a hill. So I shut the bike down, put it into first gear, and took the phone off the quad lock mount and took a beautiful photograph. I forgot exactly what it was like. I think it was a bright red tree or something. I know exactly where I was. If you're familiar with, I know some of the folks on YouTube are familiar with Western New York. If you're familiar with the Hollamont area near Ellicottville, I was right near there. I put the phone back on the mount, start it up, and take off. Okay, so there's the mouth, if you can see it, of the Niagara River where it flows into Lake Ontario. So anyway, I put the phone back on the mount, I drive away. And shortly, I want to say 1/8 of a mile down the road, the phone falls off. And I just, like, I panic. Now I'm riding a two-wheel motorcycle, so I pull over, like, pretty quickly. And I think I made a mental note of where the phone fell off. So I basically circled back. There was no traffic on the road. That's kind of a rural area anyway. I am going to slow down. I don't normally stop here off season, but there may be somebody here because this entrance is closed April 8th. That's because of the eclipse. Okay. I'm not sure what this is going to be like in a couple of days, the day of the eclipse. It might be like crazy busy. It might be closed off. I don't know. So anyway, the phone falls off. I circle back to where I thought the phone fell off, get off the bike, and start looking for the iPhone on the road, and it's nowhere to be found. So then I start walking up and down the shoulders of the road, and it's nowhere to be found. And unlike this area where it's just cut grass, there were thickets all on the side of the road. There were these very thick thickets, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, my phone bounced off of the road into the thickets. And unfortunately, I still keep my phone on silent, on Vibralert. I do not like my phone ringing whether I'm in a meeting or just with people. I just don't like that, so it's always on Vibralert. So I couldn't flag somebody down and said, could you please dial my phone so I can hear it and go find it. I spent about an hour looking for this thing and eventually gave up. I realized that I had an iPad at home and I could use the Find My iPhone feature, so I drove the hour and a half back home and pulled up the Find My iPhone, and it was showing my iPhone, but it was showing my iPhone at the restaurant where I had lunch day, but I had ridden for like another half an hour after lunch. So anyway, I went back the next morning for another like hour-long search. I found the case. Now either the phone bounced out of the case, and this case would be hard for me to imagine, but anything's possible. It could be someone found the phone and just chucked the case into the woods. Oh wow. So we came here a couple of maybe a couple of weeks ago. It was right after I first got the Spyder, and I know the iPhone isn't showing it to you, but you are looking at Toronto right now. It's a crisp, clear skyline on a day like today. I want to say that's 50 miles across Lake Ontario. You probably can't see it but with the naked eye, it's just amazing how strong our naked eye is compared to anything, the iPhone, the GoPro, or whatever. So anyway, I'm going to just pull over to talk about quad lock here for a moment. I found the iPhone case. Now this was a 3-year-old iPhone 10, and the iPhone 14 was about to come out. And so I'm going to just shut the bike down here. So the iPhone 14 was about to come out, but it hadn't come out yet, and I really wanted the new iPhone 14. So I literally bought an iPhone mini, I think it was, just to hold me over for like a month, because I need an iPhone. I mean, I'm glued to my iPhone, so I needed to get the phone. I couldn't go even a month without a phone and just wait for the new one. Bought an iPhone mini. Then when the iPhone 14 came out, bought the iPhone 14 and sold my iPhone mini on eBay. So that was my first bad experience. My first bad experience with quad lock. But to quad lock's credit, I'm going to take this off. And basically how this works is the quad lock comes with a special case, and it has these little notches that match this little thing here. And to put it on, it's not very difficult. You do that. That's what I did when I was in Ellicottville taking pictures of the fall foliage. But it is not terribly difficult for you to get a false lock. And what I mean by that is okay, I just heard a click. I'm not sure if you heard the click. The microphone is on the inside of this helmet. I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to stop talking so you can hear the click, or possibly hear it, and I'll get you as close as I can. I'm hoping you heard that click. Well, my guess is I didn't get that click, and instead I just got a couple of these notches so it was just basically like hanging on, and then it fell off. So it's user error, no doubt about it, but Siri keeps going crazy. I'm saying something that's exciting, Siri. But anyway, so that was my first issue with the quad lock, and let's call that user error. So fast forward, I have an iPhone 14. And I get a new motorcycle, traded in the Kawasaki Versys and bought a KTM 890 Adventure, a more powerful and more grunty, torquey bike. And I didn't have that motorcycle long before my iPhone, and not when it was on the bike, just like under normal use, when I went to use the camera, was crackling. It literally sounded like I was by the fireplace. It was crackling, and the camera was like very, I don't know, it was very like shaky and squiggly. So I did some Googling, and it turns out the vibration on torquey motorcycles was causing the destruction of the iPhone cameras. Quad Lock came out with a solution for it. They called it the vibration dampener. This device that you see right here, this little, like, it's almost like a I don't know, tripod, if you will. That is a vibration dampener, and it works amazingly. But I wish that Quad Lock, and maybe they did, but I don't recall it, would send anyone who ever bought any of their products an email saying, hey, just so you know, there's a danger of vibration damage to your sophisticated camera, so we sell something, it's very cheap, and it is, called the vibration dampener, and you ought to consider one. I don't recall getting that email, so I destroyed the iPhone 14. Now, the phone was fine other than the camera. Normally, I sell my old Apple stuff on eBay. I did not feel comfortable doing that, even disclosing the damage to the camera. So I went to an iPhone store. They checked it out. They do a diagnostic, and they said, no, we'll buy it despite that. And I bought an iPhone 13. I went from a 14 to a 13 because at that point, the 13 was close enough in its features to the 14 that it didn't really matter to me. And I knew at some point the 15 would be coming out, and I didn't know what the 15 would bring. So anyway, I'm probably one of the few guys in the world that went from, Siri, why are you going crazy? Oh, I guess it's because I keep saying your name. So anyway, let me just get out of here. So anyway, I destroyed an iPhone, but I love the Quad Lock despite that. If you use it properly, meaning you don't, you know, get a false positive, you hear that little snap that you just heard. And the other thing is, when I put it on, I always just pull on it. Not terribly hard, but just pull on it to make sure that it's seated well in the system. This thing mounts with a clamp right here. They give you all equipment that you need, the rubber washers that go between the Quad Lock mount and your handlebars. They give you the little tool that screws on here and here. It's adjustable multiple ways. It can go along the bars like that. This can turn. I've got it in such a way so that it's a perfectly positioned to where I want it. Now, one thing I will mention, this other thing that I don't like about the quad lock, and quad lock, if you're watching, please pay heed, and I can't imagine I'm the only person who's mentioned this. So this material is very, very slippery, and I brought my Apple iPhone case along specifically to show you what I mean. When I buy an iPhone, I like to buy the Apple case. It's not very expensive, and there's two versions of it. One is leather, and I love the nice feel of the leather, and this is what they call silicone. I buy the silicone, and I buy it because, not because it's cheaper, although it is, I believe, but because it's grippy. And when I'm holding a $1,000 device, I don't want to have butterfingers. So this silicone case is very grippy. This case that Quad Lock sells is slippery. It is very slippery. If you're somewhere, and excuse me for 1 second, I'm just going to put this iPhone case, Apple case back in my pocket. If you're somewhere, let's say you're taking pictures on the side of a boat or on a bridge or something, and you're holding the phone like this, you don't want butterfingers. So Quad Lock, make some money, make some extra money, come out with a version that's slightly grippier and not as slippery, and charge more for it. I'll pay it. I'm sure others would as well. But despite all of that, I just want to say I do love the Quad Lock. I know that there's a RAM mount, and there are many other manufacturers out there. I'm a minimalist, and I like the minimalist design, the sleek design. All I see is this blue tab here. I don't see the X that the RAM mount has, and I really like that about it. I am not in any way compensated by Quad Lock. I hope you can tell I was pretty even-handed in terms of it's got some pros, but it's got some cons as well. This is just because I have a love-hate relationship with it. I mentioned it, I mentioned it in another video, so I wanted explaining what I meant by that. Now, there's just two other things I want to say, and that is, this is the Saturday before the big eclipse of 2024, and again, we'll be going on a ride on that Monday, April 8th, to watch the, not to watch the eclipse, but to ride the Spyder during the eclipse. But what I really want to tell you about is next week the weather's going to get really nice. It's going to be in the mid-60s on Tuesday, and we are going for our first little adventure. This is a mini adventure. I want to say it's 75 miles from my house. We're going to Letchworth State Park. If you're from the Western New York area, if you're from New York, you know Letchworth, you've been to Letchworth. But anywhere else in the country, Letchworth State Park is basically the Grand Canyon of the East, or so it's been told. So it's been called. And you're gonna love it. Now, it's beautiful when the leaves are in bloom. They are not going to be in bloom yet. And it's even more beautiful when those leaves turn yellow and red and gold in the fall. Believe me, I'm going to take you there in the fall. However, the waterfalls this time of the year, the wet season in April, they're going to be gushing. I mean, it's going to be just like a fire hose. I'm fairly certain. So this coming week, we're going to go on our first short adventure to Letchworth State Park. You're going to want to watch that video. Thanks once again for watching. I sure do appreciate it. Signing off from Fort Niagara State Park in beautiful Western New York. You have a great day. Bye-bye.